Good God, did you guys see what happened in a Yankee game? Holy crap. Welcome in and a very happy, what the hell is today? Thursday, I think. I mean, we've crowned a champion. Congratulations to the Golden State Warriors, but we got a draft to get ready for here. Coming up top of the hour, the rich, will they get richer? Will the Houston Rockets screw this up? Will the Knicks screw it up? Yes, we already know the answer to those things, but hey, a lot can be determined here, and we've got three of the very best guys when it came to the NBA this season joining us as we welcome back in Tony Mejia in the house, Tony Finn back in the middle of things, ready to go, and of course, Rob Vino here, anxiously awaiting the news for that very first trade that no doubt is going to screw everything up for all of our predictions. And I'll say it again, guys. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, got this draft wrong the last couple of years than this crew right here, except for Desmond Bain and Rob Vino. The rest of our selections sucked ass. Tony Mejia, what is going on, my man? It seems like it's been, well, I don't know, a couple of weeks since we last talked about how the Celtics would choke it away. But what have you been doing in the meantime, man? What's going on before we dive into some NBA action here tonight?
Well, we've been doing baseball, looking forward to, this summer's soccer action leading into the World Cup, and obviously gearing up for football seasons, college and pro, doing some USFL work and, mostly baseball. But right now it's NBA draft time, and we're going to see whether there's intrigue at the top because the Adrian Wojnarowski bomb just now, is there a significant possibility that Duke's Paolo Banchero will be the number one pick and not Jabari Smith, as was the expectation all along. So when that first pick is announced, there's going to be some major intrigue.
Yeah, there's going to be a ton of intrigue, to say the least here. And I know where our producer Robert wants Banchero there, and it ain't going to be in the first pick. So Tony Finn, welcome back, my man. I know you're knee deep into the MLB right around this time of year, but what else you got going? What else you got going on, man, since the NBA season ended?
What I have going on is Major League Baseball, and of course, this is the time of year I start putting together spin on college football and an NFL, and putting on the charts, trying to find some diamonds in the rough that might be able to exceed team totals, season totals, both college and NFL. A lot of work in those, and you can spend 1,000 hours and absolutely come up with nothing. Yeah. But it rarely, I'll find a way to squeeze blood from the turnip if I have to. But that's what the summer looks like, and I look forward to it personally.
Yeah, that's a good way to breathe, and there's a lot of work coming up here in the next couple of months. We all know that, but in the meantime, Rob Vino still got plenty of MLB action going on, and of course, future odds in the NBA will be dependent upon, I certainly think, some of these picks coming up here at the top of the hour, my man. What else is going on with you since the NBA season crowned a champ?
Yeah, a lot like the two guys have described here ahead of me. Some USFL work. They're heading into the playoffs this weekend, semifinals, and then the week after will be the championship, and then that league will be done, and those guys will be looking to, a select few will get a shot at a return to the NFL. Which is the goal of that league, to put as many guys in the NFL as they can. MLB obviously takes center stage at this point in time, but it is really our season for college football and NFL work. So in earnest, I mean, I started a little bit earlier, about 4 weeks ago, but in small bits and doses. Now it takes, full steam with that stuff. So yeah, that's how you fill your summer, Joe, because I think I saw, correct me if I'm wrong, there's either 60 or less than 60 days left until we get kickoff for college football season. So it's right around the corner. It comes so quick nowadays. And the NBA Future Board that you mentioned, I think that's kind of what I'm looking at mostly here tonight. When all the dust settles, can we find something on this early Future Board that we can capitalize on?
Well, lot to be determined here, but a big shout out first and foremost to those of you joining us live here in the chat room at YouTube. Hit the subscribe, hit the like button. If you are just joining us, welcome in to the NBA Tip-Off Show powered by WagerTalk.com. It is the NBA Draft, and you know what, guys? We should just go home right now because it appears that Woj is dropping a truth bomb here, and we haven't even gotten to the top. And from what I understand, Woj is basically telling us, well, your draft board is screwed. And why is it screwed? Well, guess what here, guys? He is saying right now that it looks like all sorts of opportunities for a couple of number one picks here. Real chance draft boards could get blown up at the very top of this between, and listen, Jabari Smith, Banchero, Tony Mejia, you talked about it. Nobody seems to be talking about Chet Holmgren, but man, oh man, can you go wrong really with either of those two guys up at the top here if you're Orlando, or who's a better fit at the top of this board?
Well, you can go wrong if you draft Chet Holmgren if you're the Magic, because they're tired of losing, and they really think that they can turn the corner with one more piece. And out of those three gentlemen that you mentioned, Holmgren, Banchero, and Smith, one of them is not ready to play in this league, and the other two probably are going to be ahead of him in terms of rookie numbers. Now, Chet Holmgren may end up being the top player in this draft. But I think a team like Oklahoma City, which has the capability of being more patient, would be the better fit. Now, I think it ends up being Banchero or Smith at the top, and obviously there's intrigue now with Banchero potentially being the pick per Woj. The betting markets have now, an hour ago with Smith at minus 200 to minus 300, depending on where you look. Now it is Banchero at minus 200. So fluid the situation is. Fit-wise, they're going to be next to Wendell Carter Jr. I think the Orlando Magic want to trade Mo Bamba and get an asset for him to free up front court minutes. But Carter Jr. is a really nice piece that can shoot the ball and block shots. Came over from the Chicago Bulls in the trade and was a lot a few years ago. You put either of those guys next to him. Banchero's a better playmaker. Smith is more mobile, taller, and the better shooter. I would take Smith, but Banchero certainly had a great season at Duke and did not shrink when the lights were brightest.
It's tough, man. I mean, Tony Finn up at the top of this board, and I know Woj is continuing to have so much fun on this evening, letting us know that it appears Orlando's locked in. They've made their decision, and they're making everyone wait. We're still about 11 minutes or so away, guys, from the start of the NBA draft. Speculation abound here. Do you have a feeling one way or another, Finn, on which way Orlando is going to go?
Well, I was listening to Tony, and while I think he's accurate that Holmgren's probably not ready to compete at a level with guys that are much bigger, much more physical, much more experienced. However, I don't think Orlando's winning any championship next year. In fact, I think if you look at the futures, they're like 2 million to 1. I'm exaggerating, of course, but Holmgren's this is the kind of kid that I would draft if I'm 2 million to 1 to be the NBA champ. If I need 5 years, 3 years, whatever the case may be, to become playoff worthy, championship, even slightest possibility, I think Holmgren probably ends up, as Tony also mentioned, the best player in this draft. This guy's a 7-footer with the skills of a guard. This is exactly the kind of center that is the NBA. That's what they are now. They're basically 7-foot guards that can handle the ball, shoot the three, et cetera, et cetera. This guy's a great rim protector. He's defensive minded, and I really like him. Now, that said, I'm not the one making the picks, and it looks like to me, it sounds like to me, that Houston is like they're running in circles right now, musical chairs. Who's going to sit down? What are they going to pick? It should be very much fun from this point forward if Houston doesn't get their man. And I think everyone will agree here probably that's why Wood was traded.
Yeah, well, I know they. It looks like they are preparing here. A couple of shout outs to our chat room here. Summer Hutchinson says the offshores have not moved any lines after the Woj bomb drop in there, Rob Vino. So except for the fact they're saying that Austin says one book still showing Boncaro at plus 250. He wants to know whether or not that's there's some value with him at plus 250 still, even after that news broke here that in all likelihood he is just as likely as to go as Jabari. What do you think?
Well, I think it goes to show you that these sources, even if you're Woj, will lie to you 7 times on draft day because, and let's face it, the big news overnight was that Boncaro all of a sudden had gone from plus 800 to minus 200 when we woke up on the East Coast this morning. And then all of a sudden at 9 a.m. on the East Coast, Woj reports, nope, these 3 are set in stone. And it ain't Boncaro going number 1. It's Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, and then Boncaro. And then the odds came back, like Tony said 30 minutes ago. I mean, I saw Jabari Smith as high as minus 450. And now all of a sudden, whoa, wait a minute, Woj, somebody must have lied to me. It's going to be Boncaro after all. So, you know, it's that time of season. We talk about it with the NFL draft. The same goes on with the NBA draft. A lot of smoke screens. I don't think you can go wrong if you're the top 3 in this draft with any of the 3. I think they'll all be very, very productive NBA players. And if you're Houston, just sit and wait and see what falls in your lap. I think the Christian Wood deal to Dallas had as much to do with Christian Wood the back half of the season not wanting to be part of a rebuilding process. He was cool with it for like the first 60 games. And then he's like, you know what, get me the hell out of here. I don't want to hang around for 4 or 5 years while we build with 19-year-olds. So he got his wish. He gets to a team that's playoff ready. Dallas certainly can make some noise with him at center, right? An upgrade from Powell to Christian Wood is huge in their case. And Houston could probably fill his spot. Remember, Christian Wood isn't necessarily a true center, size-wise. So Bancaro's a big dude, 250, 6'10". Jabari Smith is a big guy. They've all got skills. Tony mentioned Chet Holmgren having basically the entire package. And I'll say this, when you look at his frame and you look at Kevin Durant's frame, Kevin Durant has found his way to a program listed 240 pounds. I don't think I believe that, but let's just say Chet Holmgren goes from 195 to 225, not going to lose any agility, and he's going to be able to hold his own a little bit better down low. I think in modern day basketball, guys, you'll probably agree when you're the big man that's seeked out by opponents in pick and roll, Chet Holmgren's a guy that's agile enough for switches and everything else. I don't think he can get chewed up in pick and roll, but he certainly can get targeted in half court, low post defense at 195. So I think that's the scary part right now. If you have time to build like OKC does, I guess you make that move. But again, I don't think you go wrong with any one of these 3.
All right. I don't think there's anything wrong with the 3, but we're still about 10 minutes away or so from figuring out where it's going. So let us talk some props, Tony Mahia. We got Noah joining us. Welcome in, guys. If you haven't done so, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, if you will. Welcome in if this is the first time you're joining us here on WagerTalk TV. We appreciate the time getting ready for the NBA draft. Mahia, talk to us here. What are some of the props tonight that you have circled and are looking to dive into with?
Well, to answer that guy's question, if you're offshore still showing Boncaro plus money, jump all over it because it's a good deal. If he doesn't get it, it's still a good investment. And I think he is going to be the number 1 pick. I saw FanDuel is now taking out all of their top pick props while DraftKings still sitting tight with Boncaro minus 200 and Smith at plus 150. I love the Benedict Mathurin prop under 6.5 on his draft selection. I think he'll go 5th or 6th. And there was great value on that earlier this week. I mean, really, on those, you should have jumped in as early as possible. Not necessarily the top 3 because there was so much uncertainty there. but at 4 with Jaden Ivey, and at 5 and 6 with Benedict Matherin and Keegan Murray out of Iowa. I think those will be your top 6 picks, and it'll be interesting to see at 5 what the Pistons do, because the Pacers will take the leftover. AJ Griffin has been linked to the Knicks, and his draft position is 11.5 right now. So if you go over and take him, it's minus 140. Under and they take him, it's plus 110. I would go for the plus money and say AJ Griffin goes inside 11 selections. Dyson Daniels, I would take the over on him, even though he could go as high as 7. The over 7.5 pays plus 140. He's a kid from the G League Ignite, an Aussie that is this draft's Matisse Thybulle, a guy who's going to be a plus defender in this league. I don't think anybody argues that, but his offense might be lacking, and it'll be on his outside shot whether he's going to be an asset. We talked before the show started about Jake LaRavia out of Wake Forest. He started his career at Indiana State, and watching him play there and then blossom into an All-ACC type player and now a first-round draft pick. You're really one of those guys that's been a terrific story. Going over 27.5 pays plus 200, but I think he's actually going to be off the board by 25. Under that, it's juiced up to minus 285. So yeah, there's still draft position props. I think there were before the Woj news broke 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 odds, and I think those have now been taken down.
Yes, no, they have. It does look like they've been pulled here, but it's interesting too, Tony, Finn, when you compare the NBA draft to the NFL draft, right? The NFL draft, especially at this point in the game, is a lot about needs. What does that particular NFL team need? Makes it a little bit easier to kind of narrow it down. The NBA draft appears to be what's the best guy left? Like, what is the best guy on the board? Not necessarily like in the NFL for needs. Have you found that over the years that in the NBA, the big draft board, it's who's left? Like, who's next on the board? Just give me best available.
Well, I think you're spot on with that, and especially if the front offices that if the team enters the draft, or the organization enters the draft with the front office that's been there a while, I for the most part, these guys really don't veer off what they've said they were going to do or what their aim was to do, what their goals were, and so they're a little more predictable. Yes, I think you're right about that. I'm that way when it comes to draft props. I don't like to pick. I'm not too much on the 1, the 2 or specific spots as I am basically whether they're going to go over or going to go later or before. And that's really the 3 picks that I played. Personally, I played. And a couple of them could be pretty screwed up right now. We're going to see what happens. But, I mean, even those that are basically at least I have some space, to be wrong and still end up getting paid. But we'll find out. And one of them was Holmgren. It's the only one I picked him to go second. I found nothing, guys, and maybe you can correct me. I found nothing that as long as he wasn't picked number 1, that's where OKC was going. So that's the one I felt comfortable with, and I laid $155 on that, 155.
Nice.
So some of the other ones, the Kansas kid, Abaji is probably a good shooter, but he was my favorite one, and that was to go outside of 13.5. That he was not going to be there picked in the lottery. We'll find out. We won't be on the air that long, but that'll be something I'll be watching.
Yeah, I mean, Agbaji right there, plus 250 to be a top 10 pick. We are getting word also here as we approach the 8 o'clock Eastern time as we get ready to start the broadcast, the NBA draft, getting ready to rock and roll. Woj is doubling down here, saying that as the Orlando Magic move closer to getting on the clock, it's Dukes Boncaro is the looming as the front runner to be the number 1 pick in the 2022 NBA draft. And I know, okay, so let's do this here, Rob. Supposedly Boncaro, right? You've got now OKC on the clock. Does Chet make sense in OKC? Would you consider him to be the next best player on the board, or is Jabari Smith the next one to go off, in your opinion?
Yeah, see, now you're asking my personal opinion versus OKC. I don't think, honestly, I don't think Oklahoma City envisioned a scenario where Jabari Smith wasn't the first up until, basically right now or even late last night. What we were all led to believe was that Jabari Smith was going to be part of the Orlando Magic, and they kind of settled in. Tony Finn hit it right on the money. Everything I've read, they settled in on Chet Holmgren. Now, Paolo Banchero is the number one selection. Oklahoma City might have to rethink some things here and maybe make a move for Jabari Smith. I happen to think he's the better player immediately. Again, OKC and their, Santa Claus treasure chest full of draft picks over the next 9 years or whatever it is. They do have the ability to wait. Sam Presti could. I don't know how locked in they are to him against Jabari Smith. I really don't. But if it were me, boy, I'd be thinking Jabari Smith at this point in time. I just think he's the total package to walk into the NBA and be an immediate impact player. So we will see. It certainly changes some things, Joe. And again, it shows you that there's a lot of, smoke screen out there. I'll give you one prop that I actually played earlier this evening through a non-Pennsylvania sports book, because in Pennsylvania you can't play the NBA draft. So lucky for me, I've got friends in other places that can do stuff for me. But I like this head-to-head matchup between Jalen Williams, the Santa Clara kid, and Marjan Beauchamp. It's a head-to-head. Who gets drafted higher? And to me, there's no way Jalen Williams doesn't get drafted maybe 6 or 7 spots higher than Beauchamp. For those who didn't watch a lot of West Coast basketball, Santa Clara star, and in modern day basketball, when you're a 6'7" shooting guard with 7'2" wingspan, and you don't mind playing defense, and you can shoot threes, it all counts. And I feel like he'll go somewhere mid-teens. And at minus 185, guys, not even 2-1. I just found that to be very, very underpriced. So we'll see if I'm right or not. But I do think Jalen Williams will go ahead of Beauchamp. That's one that I'm pretty high on as far as hoping I cash a ticket here tonight.
So a couple of observations here from those of you hanging out in the chat room. Our good friend Andy Lang, contributor here on the NBA Tip-Off Show all year long, happened to notice that Chet walking out to the stage there with his parents, and his parents basically had to help him up because he almost hit a step and fell over. But is it me, or is that chain he's wearing dragging him down? Like the chain weighs more than he does that he is wearing right now. My goodness, is it possible Chet lost weight here, Tony Mejia? Holy crap. Dude, like mixing an olive or something, like anything here. Like a Kit Kat, something. And my goodness, does look at is this silver? Oh, silver just looks, boy, oh boy, he too. Have an olive or a Twinkie or something, Silver. My goodness. So what do you think here, Rob? Because it looks like Orlando about to get on the clock here, Mejia. So lay it out for us here. Your top 3 in order. Give it to us. Where is it going here?
Well, I'm going to go Banchero number 1, and I'm very curious if this is a magic pick for the Houston Rockets, because the Rockets were so enamored with Banchero that they traded Wood the night they went and saw Banchero in Memphis at his workout, where he was holding all his private workouts. And so maybe the Magic got an asset out of this. And then at number 2, my old friend Sam Presti from my former life covering this league, he never told anybody anything. I mean, I became somebody that he would feed information to, and I would trade info to him. But there were things that were off limits. And, he's a guy that drafted Russell Westbrook, and nobody knew at number 4 that was coming. And he's had, success over the years. And this is basically the event that they hoard draft picks, the Thunder. And one day they're going to take over the world with all those draft picks. Might be 2028 or something. But at this point, this is I believe that he has to love Jaden Ivey, because Jaden Ivey is this draft's Westbrook, and he's a very similar player to John Morant. So much success turning around the Grizzlies. We've heard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's name talked about in trades. So the Thunder can do anything, to answer your question, at number 2. I think they've been tied to Holmgren because, as Tony Finn said, that's what the reports have been from the night that the lottery results came out, and the presumptive pick was Jabari Smith to Orlando. Holmgren would then go 2 and be that 7-footer with a 7'6" wingspan that they need next to SGA and Teo Maledon and some of the wings. They really needed another defender in there because they've been playing with undersized centers like Isaiah Roby for the last few months. But at the same time, now you have Jabari Smith available, who's just as good a shooter, maybe not as good a rim protector because he doesn't have quite that wingspan. But I would think that Presti is, unless he's sold on Holmgren, could trade down and grab Jaden Ivey at 4 and say, all right, well, Sacramento, give me something sweet, and you can have your pick of the number 2 selection between Smith or Holmgren. So anything can happen here. I'll stick with chalk as with Banchero 1, Holmgren 2, and Jabari Smith 3. But again, I have not placed a bet on this because of all the uncertainty. And normally I'm all in on NBA draft night being a moneymaker night, but there was just too much from the top. If you can't handicap the top, then you only have to pick your spots. And spoiler alert, Rob Bino found a great spot because Williams might be a lottery pick. I wish you had divulged that via DM, Rob. I would have gone in on that with you. But it certainly, at this point, you play your matchups, and top 3 is not a lock. It wasn't as of 30 minutes ago. So right now, I would think Thunder have some intrigue to them as to what they're going to do at 2.
All right, put them on the clock there, Robert. Let's go. Let's get it up and running here, as in fact, we've got about 3.5 minutes left for the Orlando Magic, as they are, in fact, on the clock here. So you go ahead in. Yep, go ahead, transition. There you go. You got it, buddy. That's what I'm talking about. On the clock, the Orlando Magic. I want everyone to feel old as ass right now, so I'm going to drop this for you. Shout out to Matthew Januski, by the way. Thank you very much for hanging with us here tonight. He sends a big shout out to all 3 of you guys, Finn, Vino, Tony, Joe. Very good. Yeah, it looks like we are, in fact, getting close. Looks like we've got it coming up, and it is, in fact, Moncaro, the number 1 pick from the Orlando Magic. You can cash it if you got it here, guys. And Frizz Allen, big shout out to you in the middle of the night. He said he got up, opened up an offshore account just to get Paulo at plus money, and he got him. So the Orlando Magic have, in fact, made Moncaro the number 1 pick. His draft odds were right around, give or take, around, between first and second. He got steamed over the last couple of days, and those of you that got him at, let's face it, those of you that got him at plus money, congratulations there. You're cashing a ticket already here, and the night is just getting going. But let me make you guys all feel old as ass here real quick. On this week, it is now 30 years ago. The Orlando Magic had a number 1 pick again in the NBA draft. And Rob Vino, who might that have been 30 friggin' years ago here this week in the NBA draft?
I mean, it's got to be either Shaquille or Penny. Shaquille, I'll say.
It's Shaquille.
Penny Hardaway.
I can't even. Penny Hardaway was 90. Was the following year. So yeah, in '92,
guys,
30 years. Oh.
Andy Lang might have wanted to tell us about the chain that Holmgren was wearing, but
yes,
the suit that Banchero has on.
Oh, is lights out.
Joe, there's no way I can wear that outside of my house.
No, it's lights out.
It is priceless.
Yep. Summer Hutchinson plus 250.
Look at the chain. There's initials on it.
Yeah, no, very nice,
Blingy chain.
guys. I am telling you, Holmgren is going to fall over when he gets up because that chain weighs more than he does. But yes, 30 years ago, Shaquille O'Neal was, in fact, the #1 draft pick of the Orlando Magic. Hardaway was after that. Good Lord. Shaq now looking like he drives a diesel truck for a living. My God. Mixing like a Jenny Craig there, Shaq. Holy crap. So that means now on the clock we move to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And a big shout out, by the way, to, and you know David Stern's got to be happy here, right? Tony Mejia, because, you know, it was his putting the foot down, Allen Iverson, with the hat on backwards and the tank like it was Stern who said, oh, no, you're going to look the part, you're going to dress the part. And look at how far we have come. From that time, Tony Mejia. You got to be impressed with the couture that we are seeing from these young men here in this year's NBA draft.
Yeah, he's celebrating his wherever he's looking down upon this draft. But look, I did not like the dress code. I thought it was intrusive, but at the same time, I was a lot younger back then. You know, now they make this a night similar to like a fashion festival or when they have those events at the Met where it's you have to be seen and everybody comments on the outfits. The Banchero outfit is definitely interesting. He looks like a weird Riddler in purple. Like if you trade green for purple and you want the 2022 version of the Riddler with bling, find Banchero's outfit.
Did you just go Riddler on that poor bastard? You did, too. He just went Riddler on us, man. My goodness. All right, Tony Finn, talk to us here, my man. Yeah. OKC is on the clock. So, you're a betting man. Talk to me here. Call it. Who's going OKC here? Got to be Jabari Smith, right? Who else?
Well, no. It doesn't have to be. I am a betting man, and I have my money on Holmgren right now. I mean, I hate to be about. It's like asking me who's your favorite team. Well, my favorite player right now is Holmgren, and I hope the hell he gets picked.
All right. Well, you got to bet on Holmgren. So let me go this way.
Okay.
What is the first curveball we're going to get here tonight? Where does it happen? Is it Rockets? Is it Sacramento? Where does that curveball come in?
Well, I think it has to do with Sacramento. I think so. If it doesn't, we probably won't be on the air to talk about the curveball. But Sacramento doesn't. You know, if you're talking about needs, and you brought that up, our team's more about needs or take the best player. In this situation, Sacramento needs to do. I would think maybe you guys might agree with me on this. We don't always agree with me. In fact, rarely do. But Sacramento needs to win. They need to make good decisions. And I don't think Ivy is really the perfect fit for them with the dynamic players they already have. So maybe they're the ones that move up and create, a little ripple in the water here before we get to the 5th pick. But again, it might happen now, Joe. You might be completely right, and I'll lose out on my prop. But no one's shown me any indication that Oklahoma City was going to go any other direction. But the situation is different. So here we go.
Well, you got Woj backing you up, Tony Finn, saying that Holmgren remains the front runner for OKC at number 2 here, and we'll have that here in just a couple of minutes. But Rob Vino, same question to you, man. When does this curveball come in? I mean, he does bring up a good point, Tony Finn, and he's right. We almost never agree with his ass. But let's talk about it. Sacramento kind of in win now mode, are they not? The moves that they've made. Do they even dangle the number 4 pick out there to get a more established player? Could that be the route they go here? Because I do think it's going to get interesting at number 4 with Sacramento. Where do you think the curveball comes in?
Yeah, that's probably it, right, Joe? And I think that Tony Mejia hit on it earlier. We talked off air before we came on. Oklahoma City's trying to use that number 12 pick to move up into the mid-lottery because, as Tony said, their eyes are on Jaden Ivey. If you want to get to Jaden Ivey, you have to go to Sacramento. and offer Sacramento. Now, I didn't realize that SGA would be available to anybody, but Tony hinted that maybe he's a possibility in a trade to get up closer. So I think that would probably be your first little curveball with Sacramento, maybe trading and moving back. But if Oklahoma City can't get the 4, maybe to get the 5 or 6. I mean, I happen to be, Tony mentioned him earlier, but to me, a couple of years ago, I said that Desmond Bain was a guy that I thought, and Joe, at that time, you were asking for guys in the lower part of the draft.
Yeah.
Tonight, I'll tell
guys,
you that.
We got a hold on, Robbie. I don't mean the pick is in, guys. It is in fact cast the ticket.
Tony won.
Tony Finn gets it done there. It is in fact Chet Holmgren going to OKC with the number 2 pick in the draft. Chet Holmgren. And now careful, watch he doesn't pull his back out with those dice he's wearing around his neck. Good Lord. Holmgren is in. He is going, which leaves a very unique opportunity here for our boy Robert's Houston Rockets coming up here, which is woo. But Chet Holmgren, in fact, going. I didn't know that. Chet Holmgren was actually high school teammates with Jalen Suggs of the Oilers. I didn't know that. That happened. That's kind of, I didn't realize they went to the same high school. Quite the interesting crew they got going there. But Rob, go ahead. Chet Holmgren, now in OKC, and talk to me here. You're right. We did talk about where was that guy at the bottom of the draft that was going to impress. It was Desmond Bain. You nailed it there. I don't know. When does it come? I think Houston now is in a spot where they're going to take the best available player, which is who, Rob, at this point? I don't think this is a curveball here.
Yeah, no, it's got to be Jabari Smith. I mean, there's no other option at this point in time. The guys behind him are going to be real good players, and I was going to allude to the guy that I think, if we're going to look at Rookie of the Year boards and whatnot after this draft is completed, to me, Benedict Mathurin of Arizona. Tony's talked about him early, his draft position, but I think he's probably that guy. OKC could be seeking that out. You just don't know what's in these teams' minds. But I do think you started this whole conversation, Joe, about the curveball and when's it going to come. The first one may come with Sacramento. Again, to Tony's point, we're going to wait on this Houston pick, but who knows if they drafted Paolo Banchero for Houston. That's the crazy part of the NBA draft. You started talking about the differences between that and the NFL draft. And the difference is that in this draft, you don't draft for your own needs. You draft for other teams' needs and then have them come back and fill your needs. It's a crazy kind of ass backwards way to do things, but that's how they do them here. But if everything goes by the book, this is supposed to be Jabari Smith right here that would fill the hole left by Christian Wood. And it would put Houston in a real good spot with their rebuild.
Yeah, no, it absolutely
and John Wall
will.
opted back in for $47 million.
Oh, we'll get to that. Don't you wait. I love what he did there. Fantastic. All right, so Chet Holmgren almost passed out from malnourishment up on the stage there, grabbing his jersey. That was impressive. So Jabari Smith looks bent, Tony Mejia. But what has he got to be bent about? If he goes to the Houston Rockets, my goodness. What do you think of the Rockets' ability to walk away with Jabari Smith here, man? That's got to be a little unexpected for the Rockets, no?
So unexpected that Jabari Smith did not work out for the Houston Rockets.
Wow.
So there's that. But, I mean, still, it's not like they didn't scout him and whatnot, and they just didn't anticipate this scenario. I would still think that unless you got somebody wanting to move up to draft Jaden Ivey ahead of somebody else, then the pick will be Jabari Smith. And you make do. I mean, you traded Christian Wood. You wanted to clear time for Alperen Şengün and presumably Paolo Banchero. Now that Banchero's gone, you clear time for Şengün and Jabari Smith, who, again, he's going to be a much better defender than Wood is at the pro level, because you saw him at Auburn excel next to Kessler, who's going to be a first-round pick later on tonight, and as a twin tower type thing. And he was stuck on switches with smaller guys, and you see him move his feet and you see him be a willing defender and shot blocker. So he'll be able to switch at the pro level. Obviously, a little bigger than Holmgren. He can still fill out more. And what makes him stand out? He's a phenomenal shooter, top 5 shooter in this draft, despite the fact that he's 6'11". So if I'm the Rockets, I'm ecstatic. But there's the little factoid about Smith never working out for them throughout the draft process.
Yeah, which is a little weird here. Not for nothing, but Tony, Finn, I mean, you have been fantastic this year with ripping the Corpus Christi Rockets. And we know because Robert pretty much buzzed your ass every time. But we got, I mean, Jalen Green, Gordon, Kevin Porter Jr., Jason Tate, and now could it possibly be Jabari Smith? I mean, all of a sudden, the future, even though they got rid of Wood, the future's looking pretty athletic and pretty bright here for the Houston Rockets.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's the makeup of a team that can score the basketball, play at pace, and be pretty exciting. I mean, and fill the seats. Yeah, I think that's I think you're spot on. In fact, if you got me, and I'm already ready to buy season tickets. And hell, I'm a hell of a long ways away from Houston.
Are you going to apologize to Robert now? That's all I'm saying. You might as well throw it out. Get it out now. Apologize for making fun of their ass. If they got the ping pong ball, and here they are. They won't be beat up anymore, right? Go ahead. Now, Robert.
I promise. Robert was wrong about them being the Corpus Christi. Right. They're the Galveston Rockets.
Until they've moved up. I see. I see. All right, Robert, I want to hear from you.
All right, it's official. They got him.
Yeah, they did. I mean, he is in like Flynn here, guys. But I want to know our boy Robert here. Robert, hop on the mic and tell us exactly if you are happy now with this pick, if this is something you saw coming. Is this what you thought or what? Talk to me about Jabari Smith here, now a Houston Rocket.
I wanted Paolo, but I guess we'll take the best available player on the board. Jabari can shoot the three. He can defend. But, I mean, to fit into the style of what the Rockets wanted, Banchero was the guy.
Oh, man. Guys, now you tell me, Mahia, did you sense a little bit of animosity in that boy? After all, he did not work out for the Rockets, so I would imagine Rocket fans aren't exactly, I guess maybe they're just going, what the hell just happened? But really, can you go wrong with Jabari Smith if you're the Houston Rockets here, right? He's going to fit right in, isn't he?
Yeah, I heard the disappointment in Robert's voice, too. When you're conditioned for a month to think that Banchero is going to be the number 3 pick, and you're ecstatic with that, and his workout was thick with Houston reportedly, then I can understand that sentiment. But yeah, Smith will be just fine, and might end up being the better player, because reading Jabari Smith stuff and hear his workout with Orlando, that's a guy that wanted to be the number 1 pick. So the fact that he isn't has to be disappointing to him.
Yeah, he sounds a little bent here, but that's all right. He'll get into Houston there. They'll love him there. It's a great basketball town. All good, which now leads us to, shall we say, debacle number, well, here it comes, guys, because it's the Sacramento Kings, and we have no idea what's going to happen here. And we never do. But the question, Rob Vino, is, all right, Sacramento, they keep the pick? Do they roll? What did they do? And if they do keep it, is it who do you like here to go off the board next at number 4 here, Rob Vino?
I think if they keep the pick, it likely is Jaden Ivey, another explosive talent. However, before they traded Halliburton, Joe, to Indiana, it seemed like, Halliburton and Ivey are not necessarily the same type of players. And when you have De'Aaron Fox and you have Davion Mitchell already. Yep. But I think for Sacramento, you stockpile talent. And there's not necessarily a big left on the board here. So I would say they're shopping. And I would say if they don't get what they want for it, it's going to wind up being Jaden Ivey. And then we'll move on to the next team, which I think picks are going to be shopped maybe the next 4, Joe. Yep. I don't know that anything is set in stone from 4 through 7 at this point in time, based on the teams that are selecting, how much they need. Tony Finn said earlier, Orlando's 2 million to 1. Bancaro didn't. What did they go down to with the selection of Bancaro, Tony? They go down to 1.5 million.
200,000.
200,000. We do have the pick is in here, guys. The pick for the Sacramento Kings is in, and it is here. I bet you guys didn't see that coming. Or maybe you did there, but that is where it is going here. It looks like Keegan Murray on his way from Iowa, not Purdue. That's actually Jaden Ivey, but that's all right. We'll get that. We'll get that picture out of there. But talk to me here, Tony Mejia. And they're also saying